How's it going, guys? Back with another update on the website. It's been a while, and 2 months ago, I basically made a post talking about how I need a break from this project. And I did promise I was going to show at least how far along I came with the project, but I guess I just got too lazy or just couldn't be bothered. So here I am, 2 months later, showing you guys how far along with the website I've gotten. And keep in mind, I haven't made any changes whatsoever in the past like 4 months or 3 months or something like that. I lost track, but yeah. Um, I recently decided to, just look at the website again and I saw it and, I kind of got some motivation. So who knows? I might pick it back up, maybe not. We'll see. I mean, it also depends on you guys, really. If people actually show interest in this website, if people would actually want to use this website, then that'd be great. That would definitely motivate me to keep working on it. But if not, that's definitely less motivating. Even though, yeah, I do think it's interesting. But yeah, I was just working so much on it for like 2-3 months straight, and then I kind of just got burnt out. And just with Yu-Gi-Oh in general, I haven't really been playing as much either. But yeah, I just wanted to showcase. I've already showed you guys in previous videos the login screen, but I want to showcase specifically logging in with Discord. Once you authorize it, it gets your username as well as avatar. So when you enter the simulator, you're greeted with the main homepage. I just wanted to show you guys that it basically updates everything accordingly. So this right here, excuse me, to the left is your profile. This is your profile viewer. You can see, essentially if you log in with Discord, it extracts the avatar and it also gets your username and it displays it properly. Something that I was going to implement, but I never got to it, was basically showing the actual Discord tag as well. That you could just, there's a button here and you could just copy it and copies it to the clipboard. If you want to just hop on Discord and search for a user, add someone to your friends list or something, along with some other details here. And of course, if you change your avatar, you're gonna have to basically log out, log back in, and it's gonna reflect that. I'm not gonna do all that, but yeah. So that's pretty cool. But if you remember from my previous videos, basically the home screen looked quite different. It just had a bunch of buttons with, just like some Yu-Gi-Oh card images as the background, and then when you hover over the image, it kind of like blurs and everything. And really, when it came to designing the dueling lobby screen, that's when I was kind of having a design crisis. Basically, I was just wondering where exactly I'm trying to take this, how exactly I'm trying to make the website look. And I was realizing that I was just taking way too many notes from Dueling Book. I was just using Dueling Book's familiarity, and you got your profile button, you've got your deck building button, a dueling lobby, settings, blah blah blah. But I was just kind of stopped and thought to myself, what's that for? What's that all about? What's the point of having a million different links when you can have everything pretty much on a single page? I mean, here you can view your profile. You can also view other people's profiles. Here you can see the current active available duels and ongoing duels. You can host a duel. You can see events. Really, something, if there's anything that would need a dedicated page, that would be the deck builder. And another thing that is supposed to be on this page, but again, I just never got to implementing it, is a settings pop-up. So basically, instead of having dedicated pages, you could have pop-ups. So right here, let me just zoom in to make it a little bit more visible. Basically, for the profile viewer, if you want to edit something, let's say, for example, for Discord, by default, it's going to show your Discord avatar. But if you want to show something else, like use a different image, you can click on the pencil icon. Then you can change your avatar. You can change the background as well. And yeah, I thought it was just it was pretty cool. And then for the settings, this is pretty much the settings right here. This is the settings button. And instead of just having it somewhere else, you got a small little gear icon here, you can change it, and this is basically where all the different settings, um, you know, are basically going to be. So yeah, the idea was, you log in, and then it shows you all the important information you want to see, right? So again, at the left hand side, in the first column, you've got your profile. Really, this is just the profile viewer in general. I don't like the way they have it in Dueling Book. Very convoluted, very just confusing. They have two different buttons for profiles: profile viewer and profile editor, or something like that. So here you can pretty much do everything at once. You don't have to go to two different pages. If you want to, search for a profile, you can search for a profile. If you want to look at your stats, you can look at your stats. And if you want to edit your profile, you could do that all basically in the same card here. So for the search, I have it somewhat implemented. So, if you type up a name, it's going to pop up, right? The only problem is again, I just got started with implementing the search feature. I never actually got to putting in real functionality because you can't actually click on it. But if you just type in like O, for example, it shows every single username with the letter O in it, which that's not really the idea. The idea is basically, because the list would get huge if there's a lot of users, and a lot of users are going to have generic random letters. So the idea is, as you're going, so if you want to look for void, you type in V, and then it pops up, and as you're typing, when there's a match, the username pops up, and when there isn't, it just says no users found. So and of course, adding the functionality where if you actually click on a user, it should basically update this page or this card. And then of course, like at that point, like at least the pencil icon is going to get grayed out because you can't edit other people's profiles, obviously. And I mean, it would, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but either it would get grayed out, or maybe it would just turn into like a back button so that like when you click on it, you could just go back to your profile. I don't know. Then here there's some, I already explained the Discord stuff. Here there's like a small circle. If it's green, it shows, look at that. It even says if you hover over it, it says online. If someone's offline, it's going to be gray, etc. And then here, it shows how many duels this player has played, how many of which, are wins and losses, what the win rate is. I don't know. Am I going to add more details? Let me know in the comments if there's something you would like to see. But I'm going to get to another type of profile viewer in a little bit. And then here in the middle, I just wanted symmetry. Excuse me. I want symmetry, and I like the way that it looks now. But basically you have the create duel card here on the right hand side, and in the middle you have basically the ongoing duels and everything. So if I want to join someone's match, I could just click join. It says request sent. Here, by the way, I forgot to add like a cancel button in case you change your mind. But then let's go to this other profile. And here, under the host duel card, it says waiting for opponent. Even though, well, this is technically waiting for you, but I gotta fix that. But yeah, here it basically shows you how many people have joined. So I have another account here. I have it hosted just to, show you as an example. But let's say I join. Again, this basically gets updated. It shows you how many people are, in the queue, and you can either accept or reject their requests, or of course you could just cancel the duel. But I'm gonna basically put these duels back up to show you that you can join and you can spectate duels. You can essentially join in the queue to spectate a duel before it started. So for example, if if you're watching your teammate play his match or something like that, you can just click spectate, wait for the match to start, and then once it starts, it just automatically takes you to the actual dueling room, and that's where you can spectate. Over here, there is some information regarding the details of the match. So it says if it's a single duel or a match. And as another example, let's say you want a password. I'm just going to make a password here, host duel. And if you go back, you can see that there's like a small little icon here to show you that there's a password. And if you try joining it, it's going to ask you, I'm going to like make an actual pop-up, but whatever, and if you get it wrong, it just whatever, it should display a message that it's incorrect. But of course, if you actually type it up properly, you can see it right here. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. And yeah, you can also choose the visibility of your match, whether it's public or private. If I make it private and I host a duel, there's going to appear, this icon, which basically means spectators are not allowed. So yeah, that's something I haven't implemented yet, but basically if someone has the option selected for the visibility, then other users won't be able to, watch the match at all. And that's why the password setting here is, just grayed out, because there's no point for a password, because yeah, there's no spectators. And here you could just select your deck. By default, it just chooses your default deck. But of course, if you have more from the drop-down menu, and do I only have Chaos Control? Yeah, so from the drop-down menu, you can select all the different decks here. And of course, for ongoing duels, basically if a match started, you can see them here as well. And from here, you can also spectate them. For the bottom section, events, basically the idea here was to just have just news and stuff like that, I guess. I was just kind of wondering exactly, exactly what to put here, but yeah, that's kind of for a different time. The next page is called Ranked. So you've got the main dueling lobby, which, if you just want to get in some quick casual, duels going on and everything, that's fine. That's great. You don't even have to use the second tab. But if you want to play, specifically like, tournaments, or like care about leaderboards and all that type of stuff, basically this is the page for that. So here you would essentially have like a player card, something similar to this, but it's not really like a regular player profile. This one would be specifically for ranked play, and it's only going to take into consideration ranks. Of course, speaking of ranks, there would be ranks where you get to level up and climb the ladder, basically. Here is where the leaderboard would be. Here is where you just have an automated queue, kind of like in Dueling Book, where you just, click to join and it just automatically pairs you with an opponent. And then over here would be events, basically. If there's an ongoing event, you can view the details there. You can also view the details of future events and everything. So that's a part where I wanted to cater to competitive opponents or players and the competitive scene in general, for anyone that's interested in that type of stuff. But yeah, I just kind of had the skeleton for the basic layout. And then the actual deck builder, this is what I talked about the most in my previous videos. I did end up making some additions or changes. I don't even remember, the last time exactly what was here. I just realized that I don't know why this is showing up like that. That's a weird bug. But anyway, yeah, so basically this does look different. If you look at my most recent video, I did definitely make some changes to it. But one thing that's not really visible is basically like shortcuts. So if there's like a card in your deck that you want to remove, you could just right click on it, and that's how you can quickly just delete cards. Or if you want to duplicate cards, you can hold control and right click. I think it's the same thing on Dueling Book. I think that's where I got my inspiration for that. Um, or another thing is, you can of course move cards around by dragging them around. And if you don't want a card, you could just drag it anywhere outside of the grid and it's going to just get rid of it. Or also from here, if you like a card you want to add to your deck, you could just right click on it and it's going to add it. And if you click on a card, it has it hovered and selected. So you can see as I'm moving my mouse around, the display card here isn't changing. Whereas if I deselect it, you can see all the other cards changing. And once the card is selected with the arrow keys, you could just move around if you just want to navigate through your deck this way. And again, if you just want to use the keyboard instead of a mouse, with the shortcuts, you could press backspace to remove a card. Or if you want to duplicate a card, you could just press D. And it pretty much does the same thing. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Another thing that you can do is, let's say you want to add a card to your bookmarks tab, you could just press B to add it, and you can press B again to remove it. And the idea is eventually when you press the R letter, the R key on your keyboard, it's going to take you to the rulings page. But I don't have that implemented yet. So yeah, you can really quickly and easily just bookmark cards because, if you try to do it with the mouse, by the time your mouse gets to the button, you've already hovered over 100 different types of cards. So you're going to have to at least select a card and then click bookmark in order to do that. But if you want to do it like faster, you don't even have to click on this button. You could still navigate with the arrows, or you could just manually select it with the mouse. But if you just do it entirely with your keyboard, it's going to be much faster and easier to add cards to your bookmarks tab, which is here, by the way. And so this shows the cards, and so if I want to add Snatch Steal, it updates immediately, or if I want to remove it. So that's pretty neat. And I had this trunk thing. It's not implemented at all. Basically, the idea here is if you want to have kind of like deck skeletons, like for control lists or staples or whatever, you can kind of have basically kind of like the bookmarks, but it's just you can have it more compartmentalized, I guess, for that. And yeah, I've showed the filters, how you can filter various cards. You can select type, attribute, everything. You can reset the filters. And yeah, you can rename your deck. You can set it as default, create a new deck, save, clear the deck. Or you could sort it. There are so many different types of ways that you can sort it. You can even sort it randomly. And then for options, you can, save the deck as a new deck. You can import and export, which, by the way, this does work with Dueling Book YDK files. So it's cross-compatible. You can export a deck from here, import it into Dueling Book. It's going to work. Screenshots, I've kind of shown that before. I had an idea for version history, but I haven't implemented that yet. And you can delete your deck here. It's like nice and hidden so that you don't accidentally delete any of your decks. And yeah, I think, and then of course you can expand it if you want to see all the 60 different cards instead of just 40, but I think that's not going to be relevant for most people. The vast majority of decks that are built are 40 cards, so this looks much cleaner, much nicer by default. So whoever wants to build like a troll deck or something, they can do that, but that shouldn't be the default in my opinion. Yeah, I was just wondering if I was forgetting something, but I think that's, oh wait, Of course I'm forgetting something. So if you host a duel, for example, and if if someone else tries to join it, if you click accept, this is the actual dueling room which I was working on, and it looks extremely basic, very bad, but essentially, of course, um, you can move the cards around. This isn't the best example. I'm just gonna exit out because I'm just going to go here and randomize it, and then I'm gonna save it, make sure it's saved, and then I'm gonna host it again, join. All right, yeah, so basically this loads up your deck unshuffled. The idea is, of course, everyone's deck to be shuffled before the game starts, but for testing purposes, this is what I've done. So if you have a monster, you can't put it in a non-monster zone, so you can put it here, or you could just drag it to the graveyard, banish zone. And I was thinking of ways to basically implement, because this is like a drag and drop type of mechanism or whatever. It's drag and drop. So I was wondering what is an intuitive way to make a card in defense. I mean, I would put some buttons here where you could just off to the side you could have actions, whether to put it into attack or defense, or to set it, or to attack. But I was also experimenting with ways where you have basically these like kind of buttons hovering around the card, and it does work, but for some reason you have to be super accurate with the mouse placement. I don't know why, and obviously these buttons also look ugly. But yeah, that was something that I was thinking about. I put the phases here, standby phase, main phase, battle phase, end phase, whatever. And you can also drag cards, and they do also automatically change their rotation. So if you put it into the banish zone, it automatically fits there properly. And of course, once you add more cards to the graveyard, it's not super flat. As you can see, the cards start stacking up on each other. So yeah. And then if you want to activate spell cards or trap cards, you can't put them in the monster zone. You can put it in the field zone because I didn't implement the logic for that yet. But yeah, this is very basic, super basic, like I said. And then you could just admit defeat. And yeah, so very basic implementation, but I did get basically the multiplayer aspect working, where two players can join in a single dueling room, and their decks properly load up. Whichever deck you have chosen here, it loads up. And yeah, I was really just testing the functionality, the very basics of setting the board and moving the cards and all that type of stuff. So obviously the idea is to improve everything, because I do want to create a polished experience if I do end up finishing this. And I would say so far the deck building experience is quite polished. I mean, this isn't the finalized product, but just using this locally and just having fun with it, playing around with this deck builder here, I'm having much more fun, and it's so much nicer building decks with this instead of with Dueling Book. And every time I go back to Dueling Book, it just, I don't know, to me it looks ugly compared to this. But yeah, that's why the goal is basically to have that reflect on everything, on the dueling lobby, the rank lobby, actual dueling aspect, and to have good, nice animations. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I've been talking way too much. That's what happens when you don't have a script for your videos. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you guys have any suggestions, any comments, anything, I would appreciate that. And I appreciate it if you even got this far into the video. Because yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself. But I don't know. Am I gonna continue with this? We'll see. I just implemented some of the shortcuts today, actually. So, and it was fun doing it. So I can definitely say that I don't feel burned out by it anymore. And it's been interesting. But yeah, one thing I do want to say though is, and that would definitely motivate me a lot more to finish this project. If I do end up continuing to work on this project, I'm definitely giving up on the mobile idea. I don't think it's worth the hassle or the headache that's caused by working on something like this. Just first of all, on a web browser that's also on a phone. If this was an app, sure, I guess it would make a lot more sense making like a phone version of this. But because it's a website and it's on a web browser, even if you tilt your phone horizontally, like there's still the address bar at the top, and it just takes up so much space, and you can barely see anything. I mean, it's a card game, right? And if you have this grid of cards, yeah, there are different ways to represent the grid and the cards and the search and everything. But this page alone just has so much to it. There's so many different buttons, filters. There's the section with the deck itself, the main deck, side deck, fusion deck, the search results, bookmarks. There's just so much going on that I feel like working on these things in parallel, making the desktop version and also keeping the mobile version in mind, I don't know, it's too much. Basically what I would just do is, if you're trying to access the website through a phone, I would probably just say, hey, just use the desktop version, because it's just too much. And I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the main reasons why I just decided to give up, because I thought to myself, if I'm gonna do this, if I'm gonna be making this compatible on a computer, a laptop, and on top of that, I have to then start worrying about phones and all that type of stuff. That's just too much. That's too much. And quite frankly, I don't know. I don't think it's very fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh on such a small screen. Anyway, I've tried playing Duel Links and whatever. Yeah, it's not fun. Everything's so pixelized, everything's so small on the screen. It cramps your fingers. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's intuitive. So I would just strictly focus on the desktop version of the website. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it off with that. And yeah, if you guys have any comments, definitely drop them down below. And yeah, hopefully there's another update. And I'll see you in the next video.